بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is our fourth lecture in the series of Tajweed al-Quran in the English language and our second lecture for the topic حكم الاستعاذة والبسملة, which we started yesterday. So today, as I said yesterday, we're going to discuss some of the exceptions or the exceptional cases for beginning some surahs with al-Isti'aazah wal-Basmalah. So without further delay, because we discussed all the cases yesterday, I'm just going to jump directly to the exceptions. The first exception is Surah Tawbah or Surah Bara'ah. So Surah Tawbah, which is 9th chapter of the Holy Quran, which is also named as Surah Bara'ah, that is the first exception. The scholars have agreed on this, that they have consensus on this, that it is not allowed to read al-Basmalah in the beginning of the surah. Now they have given two reasons for this. One group of scholars said that the reason is because this surah was revealed with the mention of sword, as we mentioned. It has mention of fighting, of jihad, and of exposing the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, and the threats for them and the punishment for them. So it has mention of all these things. And al-Basmalah, it has mention of rahmah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So it is not correct to join the rahmah of Allah with His azab. So this is the reason that they gave. And the second group, they gave the reason that Surah Al-Anfal, which is the 8th chapter of the Quran, and Surah Bara'ah, they're both actually a single surah. And they said that the proof of this is that the Prophet ﷺ did not know that a surah has ended except when Al-Basmalah was revealed to him. It was only then that he came to know that a new surah is going to start. So therefore they said that Surah Al-Anfal is Surah Tawbah is just a continuation of Surah Al-Anfal. Also, if you see at the context of both surahs, if you see at the topics discussed in both surahs, they are basically more or less the same. Surah Al-Anfal has the mention of jihad, and Surah Tawbah has the mention of jihad as well. So this is the reason some scholars gave, that they're both the same surah. That's why you don't read Basmalah in the beginning of Tawbah, and also it's not written in the Mus'haf of Uthman radiallahu anhu, known as Mus'haf al-Imam, which we read today in the whole world. So, but anyway, the preferred opinion, or the better opinion of these two, is the first one, that since this surah has the mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment and His azab and it has the mention of jihad and the war and killing, so therefore it is not okay to start it with al-Basmalah, and Allah knows the best. So if we start from Surah Tawbah, we obviously are not going to read Basmalah, as we said, because the scholars have agreed on it. We're not going to read it. So we are left with only al-Isti'aazah and the start of the surah. So if we look at al-Isti'aazah and the start of the surah, we only have two cases, which is Faslul Jami' or Waslul Jami', or you can say al-Waqf and al-Wasl. So you will say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم براءة. So you'll start like this. You paused, you took your breath, and then you started with the surah. The second case is that you just do wasl of al-Isti'aazah with the surah. So it will be something like أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم براءة. So you'll start in this way. Now these are the two cases of al-Isti'aazah. Now coming to the case when you are going to join Surah Al-Anfal with Surah Tawbah. So you're reading Al-Anfal, the 8th chapter of the Quran, and you decide to start with Tawbah. Now obviously you don't have Basmalah in between them. So what are the cases that you have? So here the two cases that we know, which is Al-Waqf or Faslul Jami' and Wasl, that either you stop or you pause between the two surahs, or you join the two surahs. Now there's a third case over here which the ulama have said is allowed over here as well, which is known as a sakt. So what is a sakt? A sakt, or sometimes also known as sakta, or a sakt, is basically just like al-waqf, meaning you pause your recitation, but in al-waqf you pause and you take a breath, and in a sakt you pause and you don't take a breath. So the only difference is taking a breath or not taking a breath. So in al-waqf you take a breath, in a sakt you don't take a breath. So quickly reading all the three cases. The first case will be al-waqf. Now the surah Al-Anfal, it ends with the last part of the last verse is inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alim. So al-waqf will be like inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alim bara'atum. So you'll start like this. The second way, a sakt, I'll stop here again, but this time I won't breathe, and the pause will be either the same amount as al-waqf or slightly lesser than that. It won't be greater than al-waqf. For example, if you're pausing for 2 seconds and taking a breath in al-waqf, then in a sakt you'll pause for either 2 seconds or slightly less than that, but you won't go to 3 or 4 seconds, because then it would seem that you've stopped your recitation altogether. So it will be something like Inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alim bara'atum. So now here I stop, but I didn't take a breath. Now the third case is al-wasl. It will be like Inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alimun bara'atum. So you didn't pause between the two surahs, and you didn't read the basmalah because it's Surah Bara'ah. Now these three cases are okay with Surah Al-Anfal and any surah which comes before Surah Tawbah in the order of the Quran. So I'm talking about 8 surahs over here, starting from Surah Al-Fatiha until Surah Al-Anfal. These 8 surahs, if you recite them and then you want to continue with your recitation and you want to go to Surah Tawbah, it is allowed to continue in any of these 3 cases that we just discussed. For example, I am reading Surah Al-Fatiha and I decide to start Surah Tawbah immediately after Fatiha. So I can either do waqf, I can either do sakt, or I can do al-wasl. All these 3 cases are okay. But what if you want to jump to Surah Tawbah and you're reciting a surah which is actually after Surah Tawbah in the order of the Quran? So for example, I'm talking about surahs starting from Surah Yunus, which is the 10th surah of the Quran, to Surah An-Nas, which is 114th surah of the Quran. So from any of these surahs, if you end any of these surah and you want to jump to Surah Tawbah, you have only one way to do it, which is al-waqf. That you have to cut your recitation, you have to take a breath, and then you have to start with Surah Tawbah again. So this is the only way you can do it. So we have divided the categories of surahs in 2 of the whole Quran. If you want to start with Bara'ah, the first category is the surahs which come before it. Okay? And by the way, the surahs that come after it, they also include Surah Tawbah itself. For example, you read Surah Tawbah, you ended Surah Tawbah, now you want to start again with Surah Tawbah. Okay? So you ended this surah and you want to start the same surah again. So you can only do al-waqf here. You cannot do al-wasl, you cannot do as-sakt. You can only do al-waqf. You can only pause your recitation, take a breath, and then start with the first verse again. So the 2 categories of surahs are surah number 1 to 8. Okay, if you're jumping from surah number 1 to 8 to surah number 9, then you can do either al-waqf or as-sakt or al-wasl. But if you're jumping from 9 to the beginning of 9, or you're jumping from 10 to 9, or from 114 to 9, any of the surahs in between, then you can only do al-waqf. You can only pause your recitation. You have to cut them, you have to do fasl, and then you will continue with your recitation after taking a breath. As for the case when you end Surah Bara'ah and you want to continue with a surah which is after bara'ah in the order of the Quran. So then the case will be just like the three cases we discussed yesterday of al-wasl bayna suratayn, that when you join two surahs together, you read the last verse of the previous surah and the basmalah and the next surah. So you have three cases: al-fasl al-jami' or al-wasl al-jami', and fasl al-awwal bi-thani, meaning cutting the last verse from the basmalah and joining the basmalah, wasl al-thani bi-thalith, joining the basmalah with the first verse of the next surah. So these three cases are okay if you want to continue recitation from Surah Tawbah to any of the surah that comes after it in the order of the Quran. Now these are all the cases of Surah Tawbah. Coming to the other exception which I mentioned yesterday perhaps as well, which is Surah Aal-Imraan, the third surah of the Quran. Now if you want to begin this surah, you have the four normal cases which we discussed, which come in the beginning of any surah, with al-Isti'aazah and Basmalah and the surah itself. So you have al-Fasl al-Jami', where you cut the Isti'aazah and the Basmalah and the surah, and you have al-Wasl al-Jami', where you join the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah and the Basmalah with the surah. Then you have al-Fasl al-Awwal bi-Thani wal-Wasl al-Thani bi-Thalith, that you cut the Isti'aazah and join the Basmalah and the surah. Or you have Wasl al-Awwal bi-Thani and Fasl al-Thani bi-Thalith, that you join the first two, meaning you join the Isti'aazah and the Basmalah and you cut them from the surah. These are the four cases we discussed yesterday. For details and for examples, you can listen to the yesterday's lecture again. Now, the difference in this surah is the first verse basically. The first verse of this surah is Alif Lam Mim. Now the scholars have read this meme in three different ways if you want to continue recitation with the next verse. So the first way to read it is that you read the meme completely. And by the way, this meme has a mad which is known as maddu lazimun or maddu lazim harfi mukhaffaf. Now there are different types of mad, and inshallah in the chapter of the mad we'll study all those mads in detail. But for now, just know that this is a special type of mad which is only read as 6 counts, and all the Quran read it as 6 counts. That is why it is known as mad lazim. It is compulsory to read 6 counts. But in this specific case, the scholars, they read this meme in 3 different ways. The first way to read it is normal way. If you read it 6 counts, so basically this mad is 6 counts. You read it 6 counts. You read the lam is 6 counts because that is mad as well. And you read meme as 6 counts. And you stop at meme. You take a breath, okay? And then you continue with the next verse, which is Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. The second way to read it is that you continue with 6 counts, but you want to join this verse with the next verse. Now you want to join this verse with the next verse. You want to do al-wasl. You don't want to do al-fasl or al-waqf. So now here a problem arises. You're stopping at meme, okay? And meme is ending with a sakin letter, okay? It's ending with a sakin letter. So if you write meme, it will be like meme, ya, meme. So the first meme has a kasra, then the second letter is ya. In meme, if you write meme, literally if you write it, meme, ya, meme, right? So the first letter has a kasra, mi, then ya is silent, it's sakin, mi, and then the last meme is also sakin, meme. So this is how you will write it if you write it outside the Quran, for example, or if you want to completely know what this letter is made of. So now the point is that this last meme is sakin. Now you want to do wasl with the next verse, and the first kalima in the next verse, the first word in the next verse is Allah. Now in the beginning of Allah, there is an alif, but this alif is actually known as al-hamzatul wasl or hamzatul wasl, meaning that this hamza is not read when you do wasl between two surahs, two ayahs, or sorry, two kalimas, yes. When you do wasl between two kalimas, or any kalima which comes before it, this this hamza will not be read. Now if you're not reading this hamza, then you obviously have to read the letter that comes after it, right? This hamza will be there, it will be written, but it won't be read. So obviously you have to jump to the next letter that's after it. The next letter after hamza is, in Allah, is lam. Now this lam is mushaddad. Mushaddad means that that specific letter is supposed to have two steps in reading it. So the first step is that you read it as a sakin letter. It is as if it is the first part of it is sakin, and the second is mutaharrik. Mutaharrik means it has a harakah. It is either a kasra or a dhamma or a fatha, something like this. So if the first letter that you're going to read is mushaddad, and mushaddad means that first you're going to read it as sakin, so that means that your lam is sakin, the previous mim is sakin. So how are you supposed to actually read it? You get my point? Because the mim is sakin, the lam is sakin. There is no way to read both sakin letters altogether. There is no way in Arabic to read two sakin letters together. So this problem in the Arabic language is known as iltiqa'u sakinain. Iltiqa'u sakinain, meaning the joining of two sakin letters. So the first sakin over here is our mim, the second sakin over here is our lam. So what do we do normally in this case is that we give a kasra to the previous letter in order to be able to read these both letters together. An example for this is the word in, and after that the word istata'tum. So in the noon is sakin, and in istata'tum the first letter is hamzatul wasl, and after that is sin sakin. So if you're going to do wasl of in and istata'tum, then that means you won't read actually the hamzatul wasl. So how are you supposed to read it? Because the noon is sakin and the sin is sakin as well. So in this case you actually give a kasra to the noon. You read it as inistata'tum. So you gave a kasra to the noon in order to read these two kalimat, these two words together in wasl. The exception over here in this meme is that the Qurra didn't actually read it with a kasra. This is the interesting part. All of them, and I mean all of the Qur'an, no matter what their recitation, they read it with a fatha. So instead of saying alif lam mim millahu, they actually read it as alif lam mim allahu, like this. So this is what I want to tell you, that when iltiqa'u sakinain comes in this specific place with the meme, and you're joining the meme with the next verse, you're going to give a fatha on the meme. Now once that is known, now we have two cases. First, we paused on the meme, we took a breath, and we started with the next verse. Now we're not pausing on the meme, we're making 6 counts of the mad, and we're giving a fatha on the meme and doing wasl. The third case over here is you actually do wasl and give a fatha on the meme, but don't read the meme as 6 counts. Instead you read it as 2 counts only. This is the third case, that you do wasl of alif lam mim with the next word, which is Allah, and you read the mad of the meme as 2 harakas only, like alif lam mim Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. So these are the 3 cases where you can how you can read the meme of alif lam mim of Surah Aal-Imraan. Now we know that we have 4 cases in the beginning of any surah, and these 3 special cases for the meme of the first verse of this surah. So the meme multiplied by the 3 cases of meme multiplied by the 4 normal cases, it gives us a total of 12 different ways to recite the beginning of the surah, if you're starting your recitation from here. So we'll quickly try to read all these 12 cases so we can have a better idea of what we're supposed to do. So I'll start with Faslul Jami', meaning I'll cut the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah and the Basmalah with the beginning of the surah, and then I'll read the 3 cases of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. So I did fasl of Isti'aazah with the Basmalah and fasl of Basmalah with the beginning of the surah, and then I did waqf on the first ayah. I read the meme 6 counts, I took a breath, and then I started with the next verse. This is the first case of meme which I did in Faslul Jami'. Now I'll stay in Faslul Jami', but I'll read the second case of meme, meaning I'll read it as 6 counts and I'll read it in wasl by giving fatha on the end of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now I'll read the third case where I give 2 counts to the meme and with a fatha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now moving on to the second main case, which is Waslul Jami'. You'll need to take a longer breath over here because you have to do wasl between Isti'aazah and Basmalah and then the first and the second verse of the surah. So the first case of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the second case of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the third case of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now these were the 3 cases of Waslul Jami'. Now going to Al-Fasl al-Awwal bi-Thani, meaning I cut the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah and join the Basmalah with the next surah. Beginning of the surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now reading the second case of meme in the main case, which is Faslul Awwal bi-Thani, meaning cutting the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now reading the third case of meme, meaning reading it only as 2 harakat with fatha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. So these are the 3 cases in three cases of meme in فصل الأول بالثاني ووصل الثاني بالثالث. Now the last main case is وصل الأول بالثاني وفصل الثاني بالثالث, meaning joining the Isti'aazah and Basmalah together and cutting the Basmalah from the beginning of the surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the second case of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the third case of meme. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. So these are the different 12 ways in which you can start Surah Aal-Imraan. Now, what if you want to join Surah Al-Baqarah or a previous surah with Surah Aal-Imraan? So we know that there are three cases of وصل بين السورتين, which is فصل الجميع ووصل الجميع and فصل الأول بالثاني ووصل الثاني بالثالث. You either cut the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah and the surah, you either join them all together, or you cut the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah and join the Basmalah with the beginning of the surah. But it is not allowed to join the Isti'aazah with the Basmalah. I'm so sorry, I'm saying Isti'aazah. There's not Isti'aazah in this case. There is the surah, the previous surah in this case. Yeah. So the three cases again are you join Fasl al-Jami', you cut the previous surah with the Basmalah and the Basmalah from the next surah. Or you join the previous surah with the Basmalah and the Basmalah with the next surah. Or you cut the previous surah from the Basmalah and you join the Basmalah with the next surah. And the last case is not allowed, that you join the Basmalah with the previous surah and cut it from the next surah. This is not allowed, as we discussed yesterday in detail. So these are three cases of joining two surahs together, multiplied by three cases of reading the meme. They again give us 9 cases. So I'll give an example of Surah Al-Baqarah and Aal-Imraan. So the last part of the last verse of Surah Al-Baqarah is أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. So let's read this with the 3 cases of meme and the 3 cases of الوصل بين السورتين. So أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. That's the first case. The second case أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. The third case of meme أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the second case, main case, which is وصل الجميع. So I'll join Surah Al-Baqarah with the Basmalah and the Basmalah with Surah Aal-Imraan. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now I'll read the meme with wasl and 6 counts. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the meme with 2 counts and a fatha. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the third case and the last case, which is فصل الأول بالثاني ووصل الثاني بالثالث. I'm going to cut the recitation. I'm going to do waqf after Surah Al-Baqarah and then going to join Basmalah with Surah Aal-Imraan. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. So we joined the Basmalah with the start of the first verse, but did waqf on the first verse, which is the first case of meme. Now reading the second case of meme with 6 counts and a fatha. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Now the third case and of joining 2 surahs, and the third case of meme, which is our last and 9th case. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. So these are our 9 cases of joining a surah with Surah Aal-Imraan. The 3 cases between any surah, joining Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imraan, the 3 cases of any surah multiplied by the 3 cases of meme, which give us a total of 9 different ways to join Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imraan. I still have one question in mind, which I'm going to confirm with my teacher and then going to inform you guys whether this case can be applicable for any surah which is behind Al-Imraan, meaning Surah Al-Fatiha as well. If this case can be applied on Surah Al-Fatiha as well, because what I know from the book is only Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imraan, but I'm going to confirm this and then let you guys know. If there is any question, because I know this was a little bit difficult compared to yesterday because of the different cases of meme, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you get confused about the main cases, we discussed them yesterday in detail. You can listen to the lecture again, and still if you have any confusions, you can ask me, and inshallah I'll reply to the extent of my knowledge. Or if I need to ask some sheikh, I will ask him and then reply back to you. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.